go ahead and call to order the regularly scheduled meeting for May 25th, 2021 of the Bristol, Virginia City Council to order. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer? Would you please stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I appreciate everyone coming out. A couple of things. Let people know that our next regularly scheduled meeting, which would be on the 8th of June, we will actually be meeting at the school board offices because that will be the Democratic primary for state offices, so they will be using this as a polling location that day, so we will meet over there. Also like to remind people, you may have seen the other night there was a fire here, and the Red Cross, I know they've been putting out things, sending it home through the schools, but they have a program where they'll work with the fire department and help people install smoke alarms in their house. So if anyone is so inclined, I would encourage them to contact them so they can get a smoke alarm and help protect their house. And I appreciate the work of the fire department the other night. And that's all I have. Does anybody have any comments?
Mr. Mayor, I would just ask that you have the clerk note Councilman Mumpower's absence this evening.
So noted. All right. Anything else? Mr. City Manager?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. We do have three items. One, I do want to mention the Wright family. They were the family that was impacted by the fire over on Holly Lane the other night. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they move through recovery. And if you know that family, reach out to them. I'm sure they'll need some assistance here in the very near future. Second, I want to note that on June 1st, we will be opening up City Hall back to the public. We still encourage everyone to continue to wear masks when inside the building, even though that is not a requirement for vaccinated individuals. However, I still encourage that not only for the public, but for city staff as well. So that will be open. And then we will continue to monitor capacity limitations within the council chambers where we may be able to have more capacity at the meetings in the future as well. Third, I want to give a quick landfill update. Earlier today, I met with two concerned citizens for a couple of hours in regards to the landfill. I gave them an update of what we have done and what we are continuing to do, along with Greg Reed, who's also they were on a conference call with us today as well. We will continue to make the improvements that we've discussed about publicly. We are waiting on some equipment and some parts for one piece of the landfill that we need in order to complete one connection. We hope to have those parts in later this week, if not early next week, and we can get that project completed. But we are continuing to monitor the landfill situation and continuing to work to solve any issues that the landfill is causing and will be creating odor throughout the community.
Thank you, Mr. Reeds. Next, we have matters to be presented by members of the public, non-agenda items. I don't know if anyone had signed up. Mr. Pollard, did you sign up? Okay. Come on up.
My name is Michael Pollard. I live at 140 Ashley Drive. Have two simple questions. The answers may or may not be simple, but the questions themselves are. I know that sometimes situations are more complicated than they may seem. The first question is, because it's probably simpler, I'm wondering if on the northeast side of town, if we're going to get our recycling box back for cardboard recycling. Right now I have to come either down here or to the ball field to leave my cardboard. There used to be a box off of Bonham Road. The other question is, I saw on the Herald Courier website that the new addressing has been delayed for being finalized. And let me say at this point that I'm disappointed that I didn't hear about that here. I saw it on the Herald Courier's website instead. When the addressing's delayed, I would like to hear about it through official channels rather than the news. Though I am very appreciative of what they do, I would like to hear things firsthand as much as possible. My question concerning that is, since different aspects have been delayed for different reasons and for different periods of time, I'm wondering at what point we can expect all of the addressing to be final so that I can take down my duplicate address numbers without anybody having difficulty finding the correct house. Thank you.
Mr. Pollard, I'd ask you to talk to Mr. McCulloch in regards to the recycling. In regards to the addressing has not been delayed. The addressing is going forward as it has planned. The only thing that has been delayed was implementing that within dispatch. That has, they are working on that implementation now for that to be implemented within dispatch. As the letter states, your new address is your current address for all intents and purposes. However, the United States Postal Service will continue to deliver mail to the old address for a period of up to 1 year from the date of notification.
A lot of the street signs aren't yet replaced.
I understand that, and the staff is working on that to replace those.
Thank you, Mr. Pollard. Thank you, Mr. Eads. I think that's all that had signed up, but if anyone else would like to make a comment, they're more than welcome. All right. Hearing none, we'll move to item D, adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I would propose we adopt the agenda with the following changes. I would move that we postpone item 1, which is the presentation of the reaccreditation of the police department, to July the 13th of 2021. And I'd propose that we postpone item 3, which is the sale of a portion of a Goode Street parking lot, to a date undetermined.
Okay. Have a motion to adopt with 2 changes, postponing item 1 to July 13 and item 3 to a date undetermined.
Second.
Have a second. Clerk, call roll.
Farnham.
Yes.
Mumpower. Isn't here. Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
Yes.
Hartley.
Yes. Okay, we'll move into new item number 1, a resolution for support of passenger rail service in Bristol, Virginia.
Council, tonight you have before you a resolution to support passenger rail service here in Bristol, Virginia. I do know that past city councils and even within the past 4 years we have had some resolutions supporting passenger rail service. However, this is an updated resolution in light of the fact the Commonwealth of Virginia has directed funding from the Secretary of Transportation to study the extension of passenger rail service from the New River Valley to Bristol. And this resolution is in support of that study and future passenger rail service here in Bristol, Virginia.
Okay. Any public comment? I don't think anyone has signed up, but okay. Have the reading of the resolution.
A resolution for the support of passenger rail for the city of Bristol, whereas the Commonwealth of Virginia continues to support the expansion of passenger rail service as a means of economic development and transportation innovation. Whereas on October 31st, 2017, The closest passenger rail station available to Southwest Virginia residents opened in Roanoke with service provided by the Amtrak Northeast Regional. Whereas on February 27, 2021, the Virginia General Assembly passed an amended state budget that includes $83.5 million to extend passenger rail service from Roanoke to the Blacksburg-Christiansburg area and increase the frequency of passenger rail service along the I-81 Route 29 corridor from Washington, D.C. Whereas the 2021 Transportation Funding Initiative, also adopted in the amended state budget, requires the Secretary of Transportation to study the impact of a possible future extension of passenger rail service to Bristol, Virginia. Whereas the Bristol study will require the Secretary of Transportation to provide an assessment of both the total project cost and incremental costs resulting from the extension of passenger rail service in far southwest Virginia. Whereas a preliminary study completed in 2019 by the City of Bristol, the Bristol Chamber of Commerce, the Virginia Tobacco Regional Vitalization Commission, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the Appalachian Regional Commission forecast approximately 23,600 annual riders from a Bristol stop, the direct creation of between 14 and 22 jobs, and estimated between $30 million and $32.7 million in needed track improvements. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Bristol supports the Bristol study requirements as provided in the 2021 Transportation Funding Initiative and respectfully recommends a full and thorough consideration of the positive impacts of expanded passenger rail service in far southwest Virginia, including alleviating stress along the Interstate 81 corridor. Resolved further that the City of Bristol prepare a copy of this resolution for presentation to the Secretary of Transportation for the Commonwealth of Virginia and appropriate state legislators.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of council?
Move to approve the resolution.
Second.
A motion, Councilman Osborne, a second by Vice Mayor Farnham. Any discussion?
I will say just very briefly that passenger rail has been something that a lot of people have pushed for a very long time to extend into Southwest Virginia and points southward. This was something that I talked about, when I was mayor, and it's something that I talked with the governor about. And, at the time, the answer was, well, that's a long way away. I still think we're a long way away, but I think we're a lot closer than we have been. We've seen the success of passenger rail coming to Roanoke, coming to Lynchburg, and I believe we'll see the success when it comes further into to Christiansburg and Blacksburg. So I think this is a thing that will make sense. And I would urge, when we send this resolution on, I would urge that we get passenger rail to Bristol as quickly as we can, because, with the casino coming, with the growth that's happening, it will be good to be able to provide people an alternative means of traveling and hopefully alleviate some of the traffic on Interstate 81. So I look forward to being able to go and buy a ticket over here at the train station and go somewhere and leave my car right here.
Yeah, I'll echo some of that. I know this is something that's been talked about for a very long time. It's slowly getting closer, and, I do want to thank our Southwest Virginia delegation, particularly Senator Pillion, Delegate O'Quinn, for making sure this part was in there, that they study funding it, the impact beyond Christiansburg. Because I think it, again, and all the other studies I've seen, it's not just about getting it to Bristol, it's getting it beyond Bristol and the impact it'll have on all of Southwest Virginia and I-81. So, hopefully this will move along quicker, but it's slowly getting here. So, all right, with that said, Clerk, call the roll.
Farnham,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Wingard,
Yes.
Hartley.
Yes. All right. New item number 2, supplemental appropriation of $568,271. Staff report. Ms. Bradley?
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. This is a supplemental appropriation of $568,271, comprised of the following. The 28th Judicial Circuit Court Clerk grant funding of $15,880, hazardous materials VDM funding for a hazmat deployment of $1,564, Street and engineering and maintenance of buildings departments, insurance proceeds to offset certain expenditures, $6,845. Street and engineering and maintenance of buildings departments, the DSS payments, recovered costs for work on the new DSS building of $27,759. And Highlands Community Policy and Management Team, state funding for CSA expenditures of $516,223 for total general fund appropriations of $568,271. Staff recommends that council approve the supplemental appropriation as listed. Thank you.
Again, no one had signed up for comment, but if anyone has one. Hearing none, what is the pleasure of council?
Move to approve the supplemental appropriation as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, call roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
Yes.
Hartley.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item F, ordinances, second reading. Second reading of the ordinance to amend Chapter 50, Article 3 of the City Code by caption only, Ordinance 21-1. Staff report.
Council, tonight you have before you the second reading of the ordinance that was previously passed on May the 11th by a 3-2 vote. The proposed ordinance has been written to remove the existing Article 3 and replace it with the new chapter. A joint public hearing was held on April the 13th between the City Council and the Planning Commission. There were no comments from the public at that hearing. At the April 19th meeting, the Planning Commission voted 5-0 to recommend the proposed revisions to Chapter 50, Article 3 to City Council. As previously stated, the ordinance was approved on the first reading at May 11th, 2021 by a 3-2 vote.
Again, no one signed up, but if we have any comments? All right. This time, do we have a motion for the second reading of the ordinance by caption only?
I move for second reading of the ordinance by caption only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the second reading of the ordinance by caption only. Any discussion? Clerk, call roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes. You going
Oh,
to the reading of the ordinance?
good Lord, I thought it was already. An ordinance to amend Chapter 50, Article 3 of the City Code of Ordinances, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Bristol, Virginia, that existing Chapter 50, Article 3 be removed and replaced with a new Chapter 50, Article 3, as contained below, Chapter 50, Land Use.
All right. Do we have a motion for adoption of the ordinance?
I move for adoption of the ordinance.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Clerk, call roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes. All right. Item F2, second reading of the budget ordinance for fiscal year 2021 through 2022 by caption only, Ordinance 21-2. Staff report.
Council, before you tonight is the second reading of the budget ordinance. The budget was presented to council and to the public on April the 6th. A public hearing was held April the 27th, and the first reading of the ordinance was May the 11th, and passed by a 3-2 vote.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Even though... All right. Hearing none, do we have a motion for the second reading of the budget ordinance for fiscal year 2021 through 2022 by caption only?
I move for second reading of the budget ordinance by caption only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, before, have the clerk call the roll.
Farnum.
Wait, hold on, I gotta read, before, I gotta read this. Pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3115H, I am declaring my interest in the vote for the city budget based on the following. The transaction involved is the passing of the city's annual budget, which includes an appropriation for school funding. The nature of my personal interest affected by the transaction is my wife is employed by the Bristol, Virginia Public School System. That as a member of council who is married to a school system employee, I am affected by the transaction and that I am able to participate in the transaction fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. You may now call the roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes.
Budget ordinance for fiscal year 2021-2022, making general fund, community development block grant fund, solid waste disposal enterprise fund, local funded capital projects fund, state and federal funded capital projects fund, Commonwealth Attorney Federal Revenue Sharing Fund, transit enterprise fund, asset forfeiture fund, school operating fund, school textbook fund, school food service fund, and school local capital projects fund appropriations for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022 in the following amounts. General fund, $54,885,889. Community Development Block Grant Fund, $350,000. Solid Waste Disposal Enterprise Fund, $6,404,420. Local Funded Capital Projects Fund, $172,000. State and Federal Funded Capital Projects Fund, $6,555,825. Commonwealth Attorney Federal Revenue Sharing Fund, $84,600. Transit Enterprise Fund, $540,709. Asset Forfeiture Fund, $357,925. School Operating Fund, $37,507,077. School Textbook Fund, $789,808. School Food Service Fund, $2,377,396. School Local Capital Projects Fund, $532,039. And regulating payments of the city, out of the city treasury, and also fixing the tax rate on real and personal property for the fiscal year 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Do I have a motion to adopt the ordinance, budget ordinance?
I move for adoption of the budget ordinance as presented.
Second.
All right. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. Clerk, call the roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes. All right. Next is the consent agenda. What is the pleasure of council?
I move for the consent agenda to be approved as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
Yes.
Hartley.
Yes. All right. Item G, closed section pursuant to Section 2.2-3711.85 Code of Virginia 1950 as amended. Discussion concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. Unannounced business prospect. And I would also like to invite the developers to come into the executive session. Do I have a motion?
I move that we enter in a closed session for the reasons stated.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Clerk, call roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes.
And just for the record, since I do not participate in closed sessions, I'm going to go ahead and exit the building.
Yeah, let the minutes reflect that Okay. Into executive session? All right. Okay, before we certify the executive session, just clerk, if you can make sure to let the minutes show. I know Mr. Wingard, since he did not go into executive session with us, went ahead and left, just to show that he had left.
Okay.
In that. By roll call vote, council members certify that only business matters lawfully exempt from the open meeting requirements as specified in the motion to convene in executive session were discussed. Clerk, call the roll.
Farnum,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Hartley.
Yes. All right. No further business. We stand adjourned.